Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen. Believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face. Now I can't make you do it. You got to look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole here on the Orion Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. Today is March 16th, 2012, and today I am hanging out and going to be going over and tearing apart a few topics with my good buddy, Joe Joseph.
Holy frijoles, man.
What up, brother?
What's going down?
Oh, I have a list.
Oh, no.
Yeah, where should I start?
I don't know, man.
Oh, dude, have you seen the news today? First of all, hold on. Let's start with the hysterical. How about that?
Are you gonna go there?
Yes,
you're gonna go there, aren't you?
I'm gonna go there.
Don't do
it's hysterically funny, dude. How awesome is it when you watch a psyop either fall apart or progress down some weird, sick, twisted path? Because this whole Coney 2012 thing is now just taking a complete different route. The guy was caught today running around naked, I guess in L.A.
Does that make any sense to you at all? I mean, this just does not make any sense.
No, it sounds like mind control programming breaking down is what it sounds like, but that's my personal opinion on it.
I don't know, man. You know, now, obviously, MK Ultra, that came out and it was real. And there are certain ways that they go about things, you know, like Manchurian Candidate. You know, there's legitimacy to that. And if you do research, you'll find out that a lot of that stuff was true, that a lot of these experiments were conducted. I just think this guy's a sick bastard. That's really all it is, man. And what you'll come to find out is a lot of these buttholes that go and do this kind of stuff are really a bunch of sick, twisted son of a guns. Like, for example, right? We talk about this. Well, look at George Clooney, doing the noble thing and getting arrested today. But if you look at the news clips from yesterday, you'll find out that guess what? that SOB went and visited the White House, and that this was a big elaborate plan to help promote going to war in Africa.
Coney 2012.
It's just another piece of the puzzle, man.
Hey, Rihanna, another Project Monarch, mind control tool herself. She's out there. She's now going to be the face of Coney 2012. You have Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
We need to go in there and get him.
Oh, there's a long list, bro. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think that they planned on this guy beating his meat out in public in San Diego. So all I could say is, you bop your baloney in public, and bad things happen.
Yeah, I think his programming. And when people would say, well, why would he be mind controlled? I mean, who knows what else this guy's into or who he's related to or whatever. But he looks the part. He's got that blonde hair, that face, that Ken doll look. He's
got the credibility of Pee Wee Herman right now.
Well, now I wonder if somebody inside. Now, the reason I say this and I say why it could be breaking down, if the programmer had programmed like a self-destruct mechanism into the person, which this all is real, ladies and gentlemen. You need to go research this. Look up MK Ultra, and that's the umbrella term to cover a lot of this stuff. Some of the side projects are like Project Monarch. It's one of the best ones. If you want to understand the level of the things that I'm talking about, you have to read two books. The Transformation of America by Kathy O'Brien and Mark Phillips, and Thanks for the Memories by Bryce Taylor. I guarantee you, after you read those two books, you won't look at things the same way ever again. Trust me. But that's where this whole some of the terminology with the mind control stuff that I'm talking about comes into play. But why would they control him? Well, to put on this elaborate show that you see. And perhaps they pushed him too much and something broke down, or perhaps somebody that was controlling him doesn't want us to go to war and saw, somebody on the inside could have set him to self-destruct too.
Man, I really don't know if it's that complicated.
Well, I know. It's probably not. It's probably just him snapping, dude.
Yeah, I honestly think I don't think he anticipated this much attention coming from this documentary. I really don't. And I think it's getting to him. Because here he is thinking, well, I'm doing the noble thing and trying to help my boy Barry, get the thing going here. And then he gets all this negative attention, and the man can't handle it. And what ultimately happens? He breaks down and bops his baloney in public.
Yeah, but did you see the video where he was like full-on naked, smashing his hands onto the pavement?
Yeah. I mean,
just losing it.
But see, this is what happens when we lose our ability to have privacy in any way, shape, or form. You have no way to disconnect. This is what happens. I mean, really, this is a good snapshot, folks, of what happens when all of your privacy goes out the window, when you're constantly being scrutinized or you're constantly being watched. You end up going crazy. And you know what? I don't know the guy personally. I don't know if this has been a problem in the past. And to be quite honest with you, I really don't care.
No, all I know is it totally destroys the credibility.
His credibility is shot. Oh.
Well,
if it didn't.
Did you hear the stories of them getting chased by the local people in Uganda when they were actually filming this thing?
Sure.
They knew what they were up to, and the locals got pissed, and they were chasing them and throwing rocks and stuff, and they had to beat feet because they probably would have killed them. But hey, we're going there to save these people, right? We're going to drop humanitarian bombs on them, just like we did in Libya.
Yeah, no. We have no business, absolutely no business going in there. Now, charitable organizations, things like that, you want to go do some help? You want to go do a missionary work? Your local church goes over, do a missionary work. I know there's plenty of churches in my area that go over to Africa to do that kind of stuff. That is appropriate. But when we start trying to warmonger and go over there and steal the resources from the people that it belongs to, I mean, this is ridiculous, man. And they're really going the extra mile to try to sell the BS to support their agenda.
Yeah, for everything. For Africa, for Iran, and for Syria. 3 fronts. You got Lieberman and Graham and
McCain. Yeah.
Insane, I like to call him.
Yeah, you know what it reminds me of? Do you remember in Lethal Weapon, the movie, they called them the Triad, the Hong Kong, from China, they were the Triad.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I think of with them, man. It's like the
three war mongers. That's all they ever do. It's always those three same douchebags on every Sunday show during the week. They at the 6:00 shows and stuff like that, they're always interviewing them. Senator Lieberman, what do you think? Who cares what Joe Lieberman thinks? He's a traitorous piece of shit. He should be hanging from a yardarm. That's the truth. Okay? The guy's a traitor. They all are. The other one, Lindsey Graham, traitor.
Ugh.
They should all be tried in a court of law. They will be found. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Joe and I were so passionate about the topic that we were.
Yeah, let me throw this out there. Before we get into anything, I want to talk about McCain for a second.
No, go ahead.
Because it takes an exceptional douchebag to do what he does. So I'm just going to take it a step further.
He's a special kind of turd.
For real. If you were a prisoner of war, right, and you went through what John McCain allegedly went through, this SOB wouldn't be pushing shit the way he is. But he does. And it makes you call into question if he really was treated the way they say he was treated during Vietnam. And believe me, I don't knock POWs for a second. I mean, my hat's off to each one of them that survived and endured what they survived. But I'm just telling you right now, man, it calls into question the account that he gave as far as what he went through during Vietnam because of the way he's behaving. Because if you go through something like that,
Google
you never
the USS
forget that.
Forrestal fire and find out who was responsible for that.
Oh, I know. That was required training in the Navy. As a matter of fact, we had to watch that Fire on the Forrestal training video just about every 6 months.
Shipmates? Was that what the title of the video was called?
It's called Fire on the Forrestal. Matter of fact, if you guys want to see that, it's actually a pretty interesting movie. You can probably find it on YouTube. Fire on the Forrestal, and that ship was screwed, man. I mean, you want to talk about not being, let's just say, caught with your pants down. I mean, you're talking about Class Delta fires on there where metal actually ignited. Oh, I mean, it was bad. Bad news.
He dropped ordnance.
Yeah, I know. I know he did.
On deck.
I know.
On deck. Really?
Yeah.
Get this dickhead out of the plane. No wonder he was shot down. Everybody's like, oh, poor John. He's an idiot.
Accidents happen.
Yeah, accidents happen. Another one, just like George Bush Jr. That's probably why. After that, they had a stupidity test, and they were like, oh, my God. You can't go near any heavy munitions. We'll put you in the Air National Guard.
But all I'm saying is if you go through something like that, something as traumatic as being a prisoner of war, at least in my estimation of things, there's no way that you act the way you're acting right now. And you're putting forth this neocon banter the way you are. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But that's my 2 cents.
Special piece of crap. And his father was involved with sending the Liberty on its route that it took to its fateful day. And he was responsible in covering it up, too. So his father's a jerk-off, and so was his father's father. And McCain's a piece of crap. Look at him. They take him off his medication, and then they let him go into Congress, and he's like, war. We don't want boots on the ground, but we need to bomb the shit out of everything. John, let me remind you that to put a 2,000-pound JDAM into a, perfect 5-meter spot, you need someone on the ground with a laser. It's called lasing the target, douche. Yeah. That's where our technology's at right now. Thanks, John. So guess what? When they're dropping bombs, we have boots on the ground.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Forward observers, they're called.
You know what's funny, too?
Asshole.
In today's Virginian Pilot, there was an article on Syria and Iran, and it was definitely propaganda. And I mean, Associated Press is putting it out. But they were talking to how Israel does not, as openly said, that they don't need permission from the United States to act and that Iran is definitely a threat, and so is Syria, and that they've ordered, I can't remember how many bunker buster bombs, but the article went on to say that they are devastatingly effective. But if you look at the numbers, if you look at how they act, yes, on a man-made, concrete, buried structure, it was effective. But if you look at how they employed them in Afghanistan, in the mountains, they sucked. They didn't work. But they're devastatingly effective. So we just can't wait until Israel drops them on Iran. And that's really the gist of the whole story. I mean, the mainstream media is really pushing this hard. They are really trying to cram it down our throats.
The pundits are jerking off on live television.
Oh, yeah.
Gentlemen, just so we get this straight right off the bat, because this is the second segment, this show is it's a Friday Raw episode. Joe and I are just ripping into things tonight. So you're going to hear a couple cuss words on air tonight. It's we won't go too off the deep end, but you might hear a thing here or there. So if you're going to get offended, then don't listen, because I don't want to hear it. But tonight, we're raw, and we're just ripping things apart the way it should be talked about, instead of the way the sissy married way things are being talked about. The reason this shit is still going on is because men aren't men anymore.
That's right. And it's pretty bad when Fox News comes on and there's Charles Krauthammer and Mort Kondracki bumping and grinding to, Iran saber rattling. And that's really what they're doing. I mean, this is crazy. Iran poses absolutely no threat to us whatsoever.
I play this interesting game. I like to play this game. What I do is I sit back with a cup of coffee, and I'll go and I'll turn on MSNBC, and I'll let them get a sentence or two out, and I'll switch to CNN, and they pick up right where MSNBC left off, and then I can switch to Fox, and bam, if their talking point isn't picking up right where they just left off. They're all reading off the same script.
Of course they are. It's all scripted. But and then to make matters totally worse and to insult our intelligence, you got Obama saying, "Well, my hands are kind of tied as far as what I could do about the gasoline prices." Well, how about you stop freaking saber rattling and spreading freaking war all throughout the world, and perhaps, just perhaps, the fuel prices will go down just a wee bit. And believe me, folks, if you think we're suffering, look at the people in England that are paying almost $12 a gallon.
It's like $10, $11, $12 a gallon. I mean, not that it's not expensive here, but
it is. I mean, this is freaking BS, man, that we're even having to pay $4 a gallon. And
it's speculation.
It is speculation. There's no shortage.
People are crapping their pants, Joe. Oh my God, war is imminent. War is imminent. The Israelis are going to bomb Iran, and oh my God, what's America going to do? And the whole Navy's going over there. Oh my God, war. So what happens? The price of oil goes up. It's all speculation. Now, who's making money off this? Some of the same douchebags that are pushing for war.
Of course they are, man. The oil industry, they're record profits.
Yeah, you don't think that they're going to charge more to the military for their fuel now to fuel the ships?
Sure. Here's a piece of useless trivia for you. Outside of the federal government is the largest purchaser of fuel products, whether it be gasoline or diesel or jet fuel or oil, whatever. Is number one. Who's number two? Who's the second biggest purchaser or buyer of fossil fuels or, whatever in the United States? Just guess.
Well, the military, I guess, is included with the government, correct?
Yeah, right.
So it's not you're not separating the two. Okay.
No.
Second biggest, I don't know, FedEx?
Roger Penske.
Holy Jesus. That's a lot of fuel, dude.
Who knew? Yeah, Penske Corporation buys more fuel than anybody else except for the federal government.
Well, that doesn't surprise me about the feds being number one. It kind of surprised me about Penske, but
yeah,
it doesn't surprise me about the feds pissing away our money like that. All right, the break's coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, stay right there. Joe and I will be back in a few minutes. Gotta go pay the bills.
Yes, we do.
But that's how live radio works.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hijacking the intro coming into this segment. And I just want to point out to everybody about the Intel Hub news brief that Popeye and I, we do quite often. But hey, check it out at theintelhub.com. You can also check it out at the Not For Sale to NWO YouTube channel. Fantastic stuff. Great guests. Kind of like this radio show here, this Down the Rabbit Hole. I kind of like the guests you have on, dude.
Oh, you like my guests I've had on as of late? My favorite, actually, I have to say, one of my favorite interviews I just had was Dr. Dahlia Wasfi.
Yes.
I've been looking to get her on for a while. I'm glad I made that connection with her because now I've talked to her off air, and I'm going to get her husband on. He was in the Battle of Fallujah. He's a retired Marine, and actually, it's interesting, the anecdote that I had told her on air about the Chechens and the drug running that they found and everything else that was going on. She emailed me a couple hours after the show, and she was like, I have to tell you, you opened my eyes to something. That's the first time I heard of that. And she went and she talked to her husband, who was boots on the ground in Fallujah, and he confirmed it. So,
you know, speaking of opening eyes, right? Today I had the honor and privilege of waking up somebody else. And it was at work, and slowly but surely people are making the transition over from the darkness to the light. They're coming around. And I don't know if anybody out there listening is experiencing the same thing or seeing that there is a shift in consciousness taking place. But one of the things, this is what convinced him today, and it's prevalent in most communities out there, but it really surprised me that it happened in my community because I live in a very rural community, and it's not something that I had anticipated seeing. As a matter of fact, I moved into this rural community simply to avoid a lot of the stuff that was happening in the metropolitan areas. But what it was the whole idea of rights and knowing your rights. And this just so happened to be the thing that got him. It was red light cameras. He had gotten a ticket for a red light camera, and it ticked him off. So he came to me, and I gave him some information, and one thing led to another, and he started reading up on his rights, and he found out, holy crap, these tickets that they send you, he goes, do you know the tickets that they send you, they're not really tickets, really? It's a civil action. He says it's a civil action. You don't have to pay it. I said, of course you don't have to pay it. He said, you're required. Due process says you have the right to face your accuser. Well, how the hell do you face a red light camera?
I laugh because it's amazing how much we don't know. How much we think we know. We're so vain and arrogant. We think we know everything. Oh, we probably, there can't be any new species. Are you kidding me? I have an iPod that I can watch YouTube videos on. We must have found everything that lives on the planet. We've already explored space and the entire planet. We know the cures to everything. No, we're arrogant. We don't know anything.
Right, but you have to relate. See, this is what I'm coming to find out. And I'm actually starting to figure out how to do this in a way that doesn't alienate people. You just have to find the things that really get under people's skin and show them. And in this case, it was a red light camera. It was actually pretty easy. But the other thing too is now I can illustrate things as far as knowing your rights and why it's important. And I brought up roadblocks today, and I said, you have these roadblocks in place to check your registration, your inspection, and your insurance. And I asked him, I said, do you think that's good? Well, they do that, and it keeps uninsured motorists off the road and everything else. I said, just out of curiosity, man, since you're on the journey of learning what your rights are, what's your Fifth Amendment right? And, he says, oh, that's the one that's innocent until proven. Hey, wait a minute. How come I got to prove my innocence by showing my insurance and my license? I said, ding, and let there be light. And there was light. And there was much rejoicing.
Yeah, isn't it cool when you can see the light bulb come on? It goes from dim to all of a sudden, and it just comes on. It was
fantastic. And it was just one of those things that you just get immense gratification that actually happened. But, I mean, this is, if you just do that to one person, just think about it for 1 second. Set your sights on, I'm going to try and just wake up one person. Start there, because we're not going to awaken everybody. It ain't going to happen. It's just, there's too much ignorance. There's too much selfishness out there for that to really be a reality. But you just focus on...
Because I'm going to say something so controversial right now, and for people to understand what I'm going to say, you have to understand, you have to go research, listen to Mark Passio, and go listen to the shows I've done with him in the past, especially the one from the 28th of October of 2011. You can see it on my YouTube channel. Go listen to it. Everybody right now is living at a very satanic core, at a very satanic base level.
You think? To
understand what I mean is everybody worships their own false ego.
Sure.
That's what everybody's about, is about themselves. And when you are about nothing but yourself and nobody else, that is the true basis of Satanism. And again, to understand what I just said, you have to go listen to the show I did with Mark, October 28th, 2011. You can just look it up on YouTube, or go to my YouTube channel, DTRH Radio Archives, DTRH Radio Archives on YouTube, all one word.
And let me throw this out at you too, because I want to clarify what you said. This has nothing to do with organized religion. Just understand that.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about.
Has nothing to do with this. Spiritual force and spiritual energies and all this kind of stuff, it transcends organized religion. So don't think for a second that what Popeye's saying is so you atheists out there don't get all, oh God, you're talking about religion again. Oh God. No, it's not that. But what he's saying is absolutely true, that Satanism, the core of Satanism is selfishness. It's being self-absorbed.
Exactly. It's about worshiping your own false ego and being not caring. We shouldn't require to have a government agency to do things for us. We should be volunteering to do these positions. We shouldn't need to pay somebody $65,000 or $70,000 a year to do some of these jobs. We should be volunteering to do it. I was a volunteer fireman for 6 years in the town I grew up in.
Right. Well, let me say this. Let me say this too, because this was brought up to me as far as, that all of these municipalities are having huge budget shortfalls. And my thing is why do you need all these police on the payroll? First of all, if you go by the Constitution and you know your rights and you say, well, I'm innocent until proven guilty. Well, we don't need these roadblocks. We don't need these drunk checkpoints. We don't need all these frickin' speed traps. We don't need any of that stuff. And if you take a look at some of the things that sheriffs throughout the country that have embraced the Constitution and embraced their oath have done, they are laying off a lot of police and deputies in favor of posses, volunteers, auxiliary police force. Should you need that extra shot of manpower, you call them up, almost like a militia. It's the same thing.
But that's been going on for a long time. There's the town I grew up in. They had the auxiliary police. They called them the special police. We used to make fun of them and be like, Special Olympics, special police. But okay, I digress. Anyway, the special police, their uniforms were a little bit of a different color. They didn't get paid, but they had certain duties of a cop, and they got to carry a gun because they had whatever police courses they had to take up at the county police academy. So they had to have some semblance of training, but that's been around in some towns. And I get, the town I grew up in, it was pretty old. I mean, it dates back well over 100 years. So Lord knows, some of the original laws and stuff that are on the books, I can't even remember. But a lot of this stuff was set together hundreds of years ago, dude. Some of it right after the Revolutionary War.
Sure.
So, I mean, I guess to me it's weird when people find that concept weird.
There's nothing weird about it.
No, you should be looking out over your own stuff.
Yeah.
It was an honor for me when I was a kid, and I was 18 years old, and on my 18th birthday, the first thing I did was go to the firehouse and drop my application off, because that's all I wanted to do was be a firefighter. All right, like I don't. I guess to me, the urge to sit back on your ass and do nothing, I don't understand it because I've never had that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to stay on the topic of personal accountability for a minute.
Yes.
And I'd like everybody to pay attention to something real quick. I want you to understand why the things are happening in the military that are happening over in Afghanistan. Do you understand what that shows you? Do you understand the events on the ground between and by the way, it's not one guy. Okay, the Afghans, all the witnesses and everybody else, and even I forget where it was. I've been trying to find the video all day, but I saw a YouTube video yesterday where I think even the Pentagon or somebody in our government admitted that the video shows that they've seen shows that there was more than one shooter with not just this one guy like the media is trying to play it out to. It's always one lone crazy guy, right? Well, there apparently there was up to something upwards of like 20. You have that going on. You have things like a kill team running around, killing for sport, cutting the ears off of Afghan civilians.
You know what? Somebody just brought up a great point. Opium.
But do you understand what that is at a base level? Besides,
sure.
I mean, there could be 18 different reasons, but at a base, that is breakdown in leadership. That is a complete and utter failure of leadership. Because if the leadership was there, the morale wouldn't be low. Those men wouldn't be feeling like crap, and perhaps walking down that dark path. You would be already on the lookout, and you would be cutting that off at the pass. You know what I'm saying?
But dude, you're being put.
Leader. First of all, if they were good leaders, they wouldn't be there. They would tell the president to kick rocks.
I was just going to say, man, that's
what they would do.
Right, exactly right. And the fact that these poor, and don't blame the troops. That's mistake number one. These guys, when you're over there, it's kind of like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. You say, I don't blame all the troops, but I blame the ones that do horrific shit. Absolutely, I do.
Those guys you need to blame, because the ones that do, they made that choice to pull that trigger. Whether or not I know if they were pushed into it, but like you can always say no. And the story of PFC John Needham is a perfect example. They tortured that kid for a month because he wouldn't partake in this type of shit. So I'm just saying, I know it's rough, but you can save your soul at the end of the day and not partake in that type of thing. So but I understand what you mean. Don't blame the troops as a whole. First of all, I blame the military leadership. Why aren't those generals turning around and saying, you know what, this is ridiculous. 10 years, we've wasted too many good men and women over here. This is absolute bullshit. Guys, pack everything up. We're out of here in 2 days. Sir, you can't do that. Says who? Says who?
What does it say? And what does it say? What does it say that Leon Panetta had the troops disarmed when he went to talk to them?
Exactly. First time in history, Joe, that troops in theater, Marines or soldiers, sailors or airmen, have ever been disarmed. The Marines especially.
I'm going to correct you. I'm going to correct you.
Glove to their weapons.
I'm going to correct you.
Think that it's normal to tell a young 18, 19-year-old Marine, hey, Marine, put your weapon over outside the tent.
I'm going to correct you. It's the second time. Second time it's happened. Gulf War I, Daddy Bush went over to Iraq and was addressing the troops, and the servicemen, had to go and disassemble and take the firing pin out of their weapons and put it in a box before they went and sat down. So they had their guns, they just were useless. Happened during Gulf War I. How do you like that? But it just goes to show you.
I didn't know that, but see, you being a veteran of Gulf War I would know that. And
so it just goes to show you, though, seriously.
They're pussies.
They are. They are a bunch of freaking cowards, these elitists. And let me tell you something. The more they know that they're pushing these troops past the point of no return.
They also know that the Marines and the Army and the Coast Guard and the Navy and the Air Force, that they're all waking up. They know all five branches are waking up and starting to be like, something doesn't smell right. Can you imagine if everybody just turned around and said, no, we're not doing this anymore. And they said, we're just not going to fight. the entire Marine Corps just unanimously said, you've killed too many of our men and women. You have decimated our forces. You guys have done irreparable harm to too many good Marines.
Just think about what
we're out. No, just the Marines, not any other branch, just the Marines. F you, we're out.
Just think about all these vets that suffer from PTSD, dude. And then think about how much you'd suffer from PTSD going through 4 tours over there.
Let me explain something. Okay. Vietnam veteran put it the best. And he commented on, you guys have to remember, I have a lot of veteran listeners, guys that are from Nam, all different, the first Gulf War, second, all different, Kosovo, all different engagements. And he put it the best, okay? Which you learn a lot of wisdom from sitting and just listening to the older guys once in a while instead of, japping your jaw. Sometimes it's good just to shut the F up and open your ears, and you'd be surprised what you learn.
Yep.
But these guys, these Vietnam vet guys, they understand what's going on. And they said, I forget which article it was on the website, but he basically said, we went usually in Nam, 1, maybe 2 tours. And after 1 tour, most of these guys a lot of these guys, I don't want to say most, but we'll say a lot of the guys that have like PTSD from Nam, they only went 1 tour. You got guys going 14 tours. 14 tours. That is unacceptable. Whoever signed the orders after like the 2nd or 3rd one, every one of those individuals should be charged with a friggin' criminal offense.
But you understand why they do that.
I understand why.
There's no draft.
You have to start holding people accountable.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is the one thing. You'll never ever hear me say this other than this one time. I don't agree with Charlie Rangel at all. Okay, no. I think he's a dirty scumbag. But the one thing I agree with him on is when he said when he said that if they were talking about war, and Charlie said they should reinstate the draft, and everybody was all up in arms. Oh my God, he wants to reinstate the draft. Nobody ever bothered. The media made such a big hoi polloi out of the fact that he said that. Nobody looked at what the rest of the comment and that the full context of it. He realizes, because he's a veteran, if they started the draft tomorrow, the war would be over in 2 weeks.
Another thing, too, is they want these guys. They want vets to be batshit crazy, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if they can do that, and they can diagnose as many of them with PTSD, they can disarm them when they get home. And then guess what? They have neutralized a very, very powerful threat to their power. Well, think about it.
And they hit them with vaccines and God knows whatever else they've injected into us over the years, Line up and get your shots. God, I remember those days. Everybody gets sick. They give you shots in boot camp, in case you don't understand what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. They line you up like cattle with pneumatic, I forget what they're called, like vaccine guns, I guess you could call them. And instead of a needle, it uses air to... And it, You get, I think when we were lined up, I think it was like 6 or 7 shots the first round. And within like a week, everybody's sick. Everybody's sick as a dog. And they're like, oh, it's just from being around everybody else. People are getting friggin' pneumonia, getting all sorts of weird diseases. It's the vaccines. I'm telling you. It's the vaccines. Another side thing. You did a podcast about vaccines the other day.
Yeah.
I know we're going to break in a few minutes, but another case in point. My sister-in-law lives in a state where she's kind of forced to, if she has to take her dog to a groomer, the state law says that I guess the dog has to have all sorts of different shots. So they made her take her dog in order for her to get the dog groomed. Mm-hmm. Which I told her there's got to be somebody out there that'll, that's against that stuff and that'll do it, natural, whatever, which they did find somebody eventually, but she didn't know this at the time. Long story short, she took it to the vet. The vet, who should have known better, even animals aren't supposed to get vaccinated less than 2 weeks apart. And the dog got shots last week, and then they gave her booster shots and some other vaccine. And while she was at the groomers yesterday, the dog collapsed. She's got bruising all over her body, and the dog's having all this other problems. And the dog doesn't get beat up or anything. The vets were like, "Oh, it's adverse reaction to the vaccine. The other vet shouldn't have given the vaccines so close together. They're having a negative reaction in the body." So it happens so much with animals and vaccines that they already know. The vets can just look at the symptoms and be like, "Oh yeah, that's an adverse reaction to the vaccines," right off the bat. So that not only, if you have pets and you love your animals, ladies and gentlemen, you might want to keep that in mind too. I don't vaccinate my animals, but it just goes to show you it's a good example of vaccines are no good for you. They play these things off like they're great, and these vets half the time sell this crap, and they don't even, half the time they know what they're doing. They don't care. The other half of the time they don't know.
Right, and the guy I had on yesterday, Alan Phillips, and he's an attorney. If you go to his website, vaccinerights.com, you can actually see, he's got a ton of resources available, all for free, for you to go see. He's really made it his life's mission to understand and to educate people as to the dangers of vaccines.
It was a good episode, very, very insightful. I'm telling you, vaccine dangers are one of the number one things right now people need to pay attention to. We'll get into that in hour number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Going to break. We're back in a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with hour number 2 here on tonight's live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye from federaljack.com. Hanging out tonight with my buddy, Joe Joseph, who has his own show here on Orion. Joe, you want to plug your show really quick? Go ahead, shamelessly.
Yes, actually, for all those that don't know about Freedom Link Radio, you can listen to it every Tuesday and Thursday evening from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern, and again on Sunday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. This Sunday, folks, have we got a show for you, because old Tim Watts and I are going to be hitting the Federal Reserve right square in the balls. So come on.
I don't think the Federal Reserve has any balls, Joe. So,
well, we're going to find out.
So the emperor has no clothes, the Federal Reserve has no gold and no testicles. Hey, I got something I want to ask you about, and then we have a couple articles and some stories and stuff to get in for hour number 2. But what is this that you found, this tidbit? You totally blew my mind and threw me off coming in from the break. A woman committed suicide with a chainsaw?
Yes. A West Side woman was found dead on Thursday after she apparently killed herself by using a chainsaw, police said. KNX 1070's John Brooks reports the gruesome death was discovered early Thursday morning by the victim's sister. Valerie Nash, 47, was found about 12:40 a.m. by her sister in the bedroom of her townhouse with a chainsaw wound to her neck. Yikes.
Hoy. I can think of a lot of better ways. Suicide to me is not an option, but I could think of a lot better ways to do it than that.
Damn, bro.
Jesus.
Seriously, there are many other ways to the chainsaw. Really?
Didn't you have to go out of your way to get the chainsaw and the gas? You couldn't have thought of a better way, like pills or something?
Yeah. I'm thinking that.
Honestly, that's odd. I wonder if that's a setup.
Could be.
The reason I say that is usually women don't want to kill themselves in a fashion that would leave such a mess. They're a little more vain about how they look. Women have a tendency to kill themselves with like sleeping pills and stuff. That way they leave a somewhat normal-looking body as opposed to doing something graphic like blowing their head off. Not that they don't do it. They do.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying women have a tendency to do pills and or slitting of the wrists more than blowing off of the head or a chainsaw to the neck. But there apparently are the exception to the rules. So, not a way to. I don't think anybody should commit suicide, but that's definitely not the way I think anybody should even contemplate it. Give me the chills. All right. Did you hear about this ongoing fight with Bill Maher and Rush Limbaugh? Not really between the two of them, but Rush Limbaugh, he called that girl, whatever, and everybody's all up in arms, and the liberals, we need to get him off the air, no First Amendment, blah, blah, blah. and then he starts bitching about Bill Maher, and now all of a sudden the conservatives are bringing up things Bill Maher has said, and now he's under fire. Conveniently, the one talking point that both sides has the same is that the First Amendment shouldn't protect that kind of speech and that it's abhorrent. Now, you, me, whoever might not agree with everything that was said on either side, but does that mean that those guys should have their rights to say that taken away from them? Doesn't the Constitution guarantee free speech? Isn't the First Amendment there to protect unpopular speech? That's what it's for, after all. You know, if Joe walks around telling everybody, I love the government, the government never lies, hey, they're our best friends, right? The government would leave him alone, would they not? Yes, because that's convenient. But if he turned around and he was running around saying, the government's a bunch of scumbags and they want to screw you and everybody else and kill us all and eat our blood, eat our bodies and cook us and whatever else and cannibalize us, he would get his balls busted, per se. Why? That's unpopular speech. That's supposed to be protected.
I really didn't like your song, man.
I know, it does. I'm using a drastic example like that to show how if you go along to get along and blow whoever is in charge, it's okay. And everybody's happy. And this is not just government. This is even the local little tyrants that go on power trips around your local area. But if you say anything that's unpopular, they immediately want to do, it's offensive, it's this, it's that, political correctness. It's all, you know what it is? It's bullshit. I'll say what I want to say when I want to say it. That's my First Amendment right. Okay? That's the way it is. If you don't like it, move to another country. Don't change the one we have. Move.
And remember, folks, you have to give your rights away. They can't take them away from you. Now, they can put you in jail. But you want to know something? At the end of the day, you still have all your rights intact. So it's really up to us in order to fight this. Like, for example, H.R. 347 signed into law right now. According to them, if the Secret Service deems that it's a priority for this representative or this government official or this piece of property, it's in the best interest of security, then they can arrest you and charge you with a felony for protesting in and around this area. Now, one thing that's interesting is that, and we see it at the local level, state level, and federal level, is that they can pass a law that says virtually anything, and it's put into law. Does it mean it's legal? No, of course not. But if people don't fight it, then you're complicit. Then you agree.
Let's take the legality issue off the table. Is it right? Does it violate natural law? Is it the right thing? I mean, just because, for instance, sodomy is now legal again in the military, does that mean you should just go out and start having sex with farm animals? And when I say sodomy, I should have also said bestiality. I forgot to add that part. Sodomy and bestiality used to be illegal. So I guess with don't ask, don't tell and all that going away, that had to go, the whole sodomy thing. But the bestiality thing, I don't get. The whole being able to have sex with sheep and cows and stuff, whatever. We always used to joke that we thought it was rather weird that we needed to have a rule that told people, in my eyes, again, going back to this, where I was in the first hour, we're not above that level yet. We're still at that level as humanity to be, you have to be told that you shouldn't be having sex with farm animals and stuff. You really have to be told that? Do you really need to be told that? You know what I mean? Do you understand where I'm going with this? Like, you really need to be told?
But is it the place of government to get involved in that type of behavior?
No, we should be at the level where we don't. First of all, we don't need them. I don't want the government to come in because they're just as weird. They're the ones that want to have sex with the animals. So
they're the one. Yeah, look at the Franklin cover-up. These are the same people that are making these stupid rules.
Well,
the ones that are
makes sense when you understand what they do, Joe. I know. Once you understand what the Franklin cover-up is, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, just go on YouTube and look up "Conspiracy of Silence." But I urge you to get the book. I have the book, the Franklin cover-up.
And just brace yourself if you don't know anything about it. Brace yourself.
It's you think some of the I've talked about it on my show, but it's like, ladies and gentlemen, you know when I tell you to buckle up, here we go. That's one of those episodes. That's what that would be.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Yeah. And that actually got reported on somewhat. And then the Discovery Channel is the ones that made Conspiracy of Silence. It was a documentary. And it got round-filed real quick. Secret Service bought up all the copies and destroyed them. Somebody on the inside got their hands on a copy, and it got out a couple years later on VHS. And it was badly mangled. And then, with the advent of the internet, boom, it finally got put up there when you could start. As soon as video streaming was available, it was pretty much up there. Somebody had it up. And now you can find it on YouTube. Just look it up, The Conspiracy of Silence, and I'll try to find it during the break, and I'll throw it in the chat room. It's some horrific shit, and these people need to be held accountable to this. This can't go, just swept under the rug and let it go. So that's why we need to discuss it and research it. So go look it up. All right, so where I was going first segment there with the whole Rush Limbaugh and Bill Maher thing is it's controlled. I think the whole thing is contrived. Why do I think it's contrived and blown up more than what it is? Well, because never let a good crisis go to waste. So even if the whole thing wasn't contrived from the start, which it could be, and this isn't a conspiracy theory, it's just how dirty politics is done, both sides play against the middle.
Yes.
You understand where I'm going with that? I know you.
Of course I do.
You know what I mean? You get the Democrats with the same talking points. It comes out the Republicans with the same talking points, and the end goal is to.
Yeah, let me say this. I mean, we've all heard. Yeah, I call them Republicrats. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just self-serving BS. That's really what it all turns out to be.
Come on, it's Friday. Go ahead, say the D word. They're douchebags.
It's douchebaggery at its finest. It really, truly is. But it is. It speaks right to, like you said before, Satanism. That's really what it is. It's self-centered bullshit that and why do we as the American people, just out of curiosity, why do we put up with it? I mean, how many
why
times
are we standing for it? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, how many times you got to be sold a bill of goods before you finally say, I'm not going to do this anymore.
But we're supposed to, even not even at that level, we're supposed to be better than that.
That's right.
We're supposed to be better than that.
Hey, let me just give a shout out real quick.
Go ahead.
Not to derail you. Bobby Tuscan, I see you in the chat room, baby. That's right. Give you a little shout out.
What's up, Tuscan? We'll say hi to you live on air.
That's right.
So, all right, now that we're done with that, I want to move on to something else. Did you hear about the kids in Maryland? Now, this story is like over 2 weeks old now. It's actually 16 days old. Happened on the 1st, but I guess 15 days old. So about 2 weeks. Anyway, I didn't hear about it till today. This is the first I've ever heard of it. So it just goes to show you how much the media is censored. I mean, even the digging we do, and I didn't come across this. Apparently, there's this school walkout in Maryland. And the school board, the school officials, like the principals, teachers, stuff, and the local police department wouldn't let the kids walk out. They locked them in the school. They had, I guess, the canine units there with the dogs and stuff, barking and trying to scare the kids to stay away from the doors and stuff like that. Like total police state type shit. And they ended up arresting. I'll play a bit of the clip here in a second, but they ended up arresting this 4 kids, and these 4 kids that weren't even connected with the walkout. They weren't involved in the walkout physically. They got arrested for. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? Remember, everybody called us tinfoil hat wearers when we would bring this term up. Okay. Remember when you would hear, I would say, and other people would say, thought criminals. They got arrested for thought crimes.
Get you some. Thought crimes.
Crimes.
Yeah, because that's, the Minority Report at its finest.
Thought crimes. Thought crimes, dude.
Isn't that what they call it?
When I heard this, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, and that's what not me. That's not me or the new or it's RT that I found the clip on. It's not me or RT that's coming up with this nifty little term of thought crime. This is what the court, because they were arrested. This is what they were charged with. This is what they're being charged with.
Yeah, and if you look in airports, one of the many tools they say they have at their disposal is behavior monitors and things like that. They have cameras that can tell by your body language what you're doing, that somehow it sees your body language and there's some sort of subset that's run. Oh, that's a terrorist. Go grab him.
Oh yeah, dude! It's if you're sweating, it's some of the most stupid stuff. Here, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play part of this clip really quick. It's about about a minute, a little less than a minute, and you're gonna hear the girl's describing pretty much what happened, and you'll hear her say "thought criminal." And what kind of pisses me off is the host kind of just he touches on it, but then he just continues on. Whereas he should have really got into it. But here, check it out.
They responded very immaturely. They put canines outside, and they suspended 4 people who weren't even involved. Shane, Ricardo, Omar, and William for thought crime and inciting violence, even though they weren't even a part of the walkout.
Now, one of the people suspended was...
Did you hear what he just said? The girl said, and they got suspended from the high school, and I don't know what other charges are pending against them or whatever, but they had the cops there, canines.
Dude, this is crazy stuff. A friend of ours, the son, one of her sons, had a taser pulled on him by the whatever you call the deputy that was there, the one that roams the high school, the school security or whatever, all because he didn't have a shirt on that covered his shoulders. You pull a taser on a kid?
So they pulled the taser on the kid.
Yeah, because the first time he says, no. He had the shirt draped over his shoulders, and he had a tank top on.
But why?
And the teacher says, put your shirt on. And he said, no. Now, is it right for him to do that? Of course not.
Okay, but what kind of pussy does it require? It requires a taser to tell a teenage kid what to do. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. First of all, if the kid gets mouthy with you, you get up and you get up in his face and you tell him, look, you little punk piece of shit, do what I tell you to do. Okay? End of freaking story. And if he's like, what are you going to do? You don't have to hit him, okay? Yeah. There are other ways to deal with him. You don't have to taser the shit out of him either. I mean, first of all, there's nothing like grabbing a kid by the back of his shirt and dragging him. I mean, if the kid's a little punk turd and he takes a swing at you, there's a whole different story. But see, the real problem, Joe, lies in the fact of why do we have these teachers or they're not teachers, they're wannabe, I guess they're cops, but they're, what do they call them? They're not security guards at the schools. I forget what they're called. School something officers. I forget what their little Orwellian term for it is, but it's like school safety officer. I'm looking out for your child's best interest. I promise. I'm just going to tase the shit out of them. Hold on.
This is how they're sold. They're sold as non-lethal weapons, but as we came to find out, the government clearly says in their description of non-lethal weapons that they're not guaranteed, they cannot be required to have a 0 probability of causing death or something like that, and which tells you, well, then why you call it non-lethal? That would mean that I can call my 9mm non-lethal because it won't kill you every time.
Well, yeah, that's like, if you shoot yourself in the foot with your gun, it wasn't lethal, so I guess that means that your 9mm is not lethal, right? It's now a less than lethal weapon. I mean, it's just this kind of with that kind of that kind of thinking. I guess if I only run over someone's foot with a vehicle, it's a non-lethal weapon. But if I hit them dead on and run them completely over and I squish them, yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's amazing.
I know, man. And here's the next thing. Speaking of non-lethal weapons, when we come back from break, I got something to tell you about some weapons. Something that's going to make you just like pull your hair out. So, dude, let me just say this. There is no reason for what I'm about to tell you after this break.
Of course, there's no reason for half the things that they do. The taser round that is the size of a grenade. Yeah, because we need that. Keep building shit to kill each other instead of building stuff to heal each other and feed each other. Let's not worry about that, right? Let's worry about killing each other.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to break. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned.
Hey, folks, don't forget to check out the Information Nation with Ken every Sunday evening from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern here on the Orion Talk Radio Network. I'm Joe Joseph, and I've hijacked Popeye's show. That's right. That's why we're having such a raw radio evening. And I'm going to make it even more raw for you real quick because I told you I was going to talk about a little bit about the weapons and whatnot. Well, I'm gonna cite the Intel hub.
How do you spell government waste?
P-O-O-P. Poop. That's how you spell it. And anyway, ATK awarded contract to supply 450 million rounds of .40 caliber ammunition to the Department of Homeland Security. One word comes to mind here, Popeye. Why? What the hell do you need with 450 million rounds of .40 cal?
The same reason that they had the Marines disarm in Afghanistan. One word. Fear. 450. You know, it's a good thing I don't have a .40 cal. That's all I got to say. Because that ammo just skyrocketed in price. Yeah, it did. They do that on purpose, though, a lot, too. A lot of times they buy up a lot of the available ammunition and stockpile it.
And so, hey, let me ask you this, too. How come, now, Popeye, let's just say you come into, $1 billion. And you just so happen to want to take that $1 billion and buy 450 million rounds of .40 cal ammo, right? Just for your own.
Oh, dude, if you or me, one person went and bought that, they'd be knocking on your door tomorrow asking you why.
Exactly. So now, what are we doing about this? That's what I'm saying.
Why are we knocking on their door and asking them why?
Exactly right. You know? Isn't it funny? Tim brings this up from time to time on my show. He says, isn't it funny that the government can go try you and convict you of conspiracy, whether it be conspiracy to commit murder, to commit burglary, doesn't matter what it is. But if you bring up how the government conspires, why, you're a crackpot. You're a tinfoil hatter. By cracky, you're insane. Don't listen to that guy. Isn't it interesting how everything is just backwards when it comes to how the government views us to how we view the government? Just totally different.
Dude, it's sickening.
Yeah. Just wanted to throw that out there. But 450 million rounds of .40 cal. Just a little bit excessive.
Wonder what they're worried about.
Man it.
Wonder what they're worried about.
Yeah, I'll tell you what they're worried about.
Yeah, I don't wonder.
They're crapping in their pants is what it is.
Well, like I said, I don't wonder what they're worried about. I know what they're worried about.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are. They be afraid. They don't want to. Would you want a bunch of pissed off people like they have right now?
No. And I'm going to say this, too.
No, I wouldn't want, dude, the record number of gun sales.
The Department of Homeland Security, the people that are within the Department of Homeland Security aren't stupid. All right? And I said this on AJ, and I'll say it here. About half of the people within government, they're awake. They know. They know what's going on. They don't agree with this stuff. You know, but they're just Joe Schmuckatellis wanting to do 40, get home to their family, and that's it. That's all they do. Most of them are freaking low-level scumbags like myself. That's it.
Yeah, but the higher ups are the ones they're the ones that
very small minority, extremely small minority that wield a lot of power, but it's illusion.
But they're the ones that are afraid, and they're afraid of everybody, Joe.
And what's bad is that, and maybe you agree with me here, that it's an illusion, and people are starting to see through it.
Of course, they're starting to see that the emperor has no clothes. Right. They're telling you, "Oh, look at the emperor's robe; it's so beautiful, and he's naked." And people are going, dude, that guy's nude. He doesn't have a robe on. What are they talking about? He's walking around with completely naked. He's got an old stick, not some big majestical scepter in his hand. What the hell is that? This guy doesn't have a robe on. And his guards come over and whisk him away really quick. Shut him up.
What's the movie with Gwyneth Paltrow and Jack Black?
Where he sees her when she's skinny. I don't remember the name of it, but I know what you mean. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Same difference.
Well, it's amazing. I like to use as a visual the movie They Live.
Oh, there we go again, man. Roddy Piper.
You know, when he puts the shades on, he looks at the money and it says, that's, again, knowing you have to go back to that episode with Passio and I on the 28th of last year of October 28th, 2011. Mark gets into money and Monai, why it's called Monai, and why it's got the symbolism it does, and it's pushed like a god because people kind of worship money, and it's part of this whole false ego thing. And when you see They Live, it says, "This is your God" on the money. So I just thought that was very telling. I always wondered if that was his way of, because a lot of these directors and stuff, they're in the know. Look at Eyes Wide Shut, dude. He had final cut say on that, and they Kubrick, and they wanted to edit a whole bunch of stuff out. And he said, "Nope, I'm not editing anything out, F you." Yeah. And he died, and then they edited it anyway, and then released it after he died. And he died on the day that he said that he would not. He was like, "No, this is my movie. I have final cut. No." And if you watch Eyes Wide Shut, a lot of people didn't understand that movie when it came out. The general public was like, "I don't get it. The movie sucked. It was horrible. They just had this weird sex party and stuff, and it was really strange and kind of creepy." And everybody had this. It was really creepy and weird. And I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, now when you go back and you watch it again with the knowledge you have, and once you do a little bit of research, you understand Kubrick was probably trying to tell us something, and that's why he didn't want to cut it out. Who knows? Just kind of makes you wonder if he was trying to tell us something.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, look at how many movies have been predictive pre-programming or anything else. I mean, that movie Knowing, showing the Gulf oil catastrophe.
Oh yeah, that was pretty weird.
They do tell us things.
Yeah, predictive programming. Right before 9/11, remember what they did with the Lone Gunman series?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, "Oh, we couldn't have pre-thought of that." Really? Go ask Chris Carter who gave him that episode, who wrote it for him. Go ask Chris Carter. Jones interviewed him, but there's also, I forget who it was. It might have been Rob Chowda over at Oracle that interviewed him. I'm not sure. A couple years ago, Dean Hageland. And I know Jones has interviewed him too, but he's been interviewed by a few people. And he was telling him that episode, the script and stuff, was given to the write-up and everything pretty much was given to Chris Carter by the CIA, by Langley.
Yeah, of course, dude. Of course.
And what did it involve? It involved a hijacked airliner being remotely flown into the World Trade Center filled with people to be blamed on Arabs so that they could go on a spending spree and get more money for defense and everything else and wars and all this other stuff. Wow.
Let me throw another one at you, because this is the one that scares me above all of the other ones. The Road. I mean, that freaking movie just made my jaw drop, bro. That was just crazy stuff.
I'm somewhat prepared for Mad Max, so.
I mean, it's even beyond that, though. I mean, there was nothing. I mean, the earth was laid waste, and you just had rampant cannibalism. I mean, how crazy.
All these movies are like that. You notice all these movies are like that. Every one of these movies out there that they come out with are always, the end of society, rebuilding it as anew. That's always the main theme. It's the underlying theme of things that you should look forward to, or not forward to, you should look for, I should say. Don't look at it and say, well, it was just a zombie apocalypse movie, or this one was a war apocalypse movie, or this was this apocalypse movie. The point is they all have the same outcome, this apocalyptic future where the world was not as we know it. That is the base level predictive programming. That they're trying to get you ready mentally, subconsciously, in your head, because that's what movies and television for. Entertainment has never been for entertainment. It's always been about controlling you and putting ideas into your head. Okay, getting you ready and prepping you. That's what it's for. And they're getting you ready for their change, to go from the current system of things to their one world government system. That's what they're getting you subconsciously ready to accept. Now that is the flat out truth. I know it's hard to accept. I know it's a lot to take, but that's the way it is. We're going to break, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. Final segment coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the final segment of tonight's episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. And I'd like to thank my buddy Joe for coming on and hanging out with me and just venting steam. We've between the two of us, we've had a very busy couple weeks with guests on both our shows and doing podcasts and stuff and all this other stuff behind the scenes. So tonight we had we just wanted to kind of come on, hang out, and just vent and rip on some of the stuff that we had seen in the news.
I'm actually a little bummed out that it's over so soon.
Yeah, man, all the good stuff goes by so fast.
Yeah, it was a good flow tonight.
That's usually how it goes, man. Every time you're on, or anytime you ever have a good show, even when you have a good guest on, you know how it is. You have a good guest on, you're flowing. You know, it's the first segment of the first hour, and you blink, and it's the last segment of the second hour. You're like, what the hell?
Yeah, hey, I do want to. I want to throw something out there real quick to everybody, folks. If you guys want to a good website where you can just go to one place and have access to hundreds of alternative media sites and documentaries, visit theamericantruth.network.com. That's run by my co-host Timmy Watts. And if you want just a good repository of truth, that's the place to go. So check it out. It definitely helps when you're trying to wake people up and you need resources. Awesome place.
Yeah, I like Tim's websites. He does a good job. Tim puts a lot of effort in behind the scenes too. He does a lot of production work for the network itself. So big shout out to Mr. Tim Watts there. I know he's listening. Thank you, Tim. We gave you a moment of silence really quick.
Yeah.
We gave you a moment to drink your beer. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I heard the Skype go boop up there.
All right, Joe, there's one last thing I want to talk about before I forget, and then we can go off on whatever.
Okay.
But really quick, I've been kind of giving you little pointers here and there, and I think you're starting to find out about this yourself. But social media is a great way to spread.
Oh, it's murder.
It's murder, but it's a great way to spread links to the shows.
Yeah, you're definitely a poster child for that. You've really harnessed the power of that.
Yes, I have.
Yes. You are quite powerful in the social media realm. Yeah.
Yes, I am. I have harnessed the power of the social media, and anybody can. That's the beautiful part. So, I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm not a superhuman being. I'm not from Krypton. There is not, everybody can do the same things I can do, basically.
I beg to differ, Popeye. I hate Twitter. I absolutely loathe it. Yes, could it be a effective tool?
But you could do it if you put your mind.
I have no idea how to do it.
But you could if you put your mind to it and you learned. It's real easy. The point is, learn how to use Twitter and Facebook, and you can spread links to people real easily, and you can interact with people. And
I can definitely see it putting a chink in the New World Order chain because of how fast that stuff goes. And what do you call it when what is it? Something that's trending? Is that what it is?
Yeah, like right now, if you look at, I usually rip off the trending topics. Like for some reason, right now you can't see the what's trending. I guess Twitter is dicking around with their feed or whatever. But normally you can see what's trending. And what I do is like it'll like last week I saw something about Disney movies. It was the Lion King was playing, and people you can have it all the way down to just what's trending in your city. Not even what's trending worldwide, but I usually do for the United States. And the Lion King, I guess, was on one of the major cable providers, probably Cablevision or Comcast, rather. And it was on one of the channels or whatever the hell it was. And people were watching it all over the country, and they were all twittering, "Oh, watching the Lion King." So what I did was I took the Lion King, and I incorporated that into a title of a video about all the sexual subliminals that are hidden inside Disney movies.
Yeah.
And I incorporated them both into the title and then the link to the video. So that way it said The Lion King. And as long as it said that, if it starts with a hashtag, then you have to start it with a hashtag. Otherwise, if it's just the topic with that term, anything with that term, it'll end up in the trending topic. And what happens is people sit and they watch these lists. What's trending? What are people saying? Oh, this person said something that's funny. You'd be surprised. I've picked up listeners and readers just from that, and people that follow me on Twitter. I
had no idea. I didn't even know you could do that.
Dude, it goes out to everybody that sees it.
Why the hell would people follow that crap?
Because they're look. It's the same thing that they get caught up in television and all this other bullshit, but. You have to, if you understand how it works and you understand how they're being sucked in, you can turn that around and use the New World Order's machinery, as it were, to your advantage and turn it around. And instead of pumping crap, you can pump out truth.
Whatever happened to Pong?
Dude, don't even get me started. I remember when Pong came out. Nowadays, video games don't even look anything like they did when I was a kid. I remember Pitfall. It was like a bunch of little squares. That's what your guy was. These horrible little blocky squares on the screen. That's what video games were when now I'm aging myself. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what video games were when I was a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now a lot of the same guys that grew up playing those Nintendo games are flying drones.
I kind of think of myself as, and my wife too, like the Refusenicks that just totally fought with every fiber of their being the DVD. We wanted those VHS tapes, damn it. It's just that next jump in technology. And now, Twitter, dude, I just don't have the knack for it. Or I guess the time, I don't know, but I can definitely see how it would be an effective tool based on the way society is.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. Look, you have to, in order to wake people up, everybody's like, wow, these idiots are always watching Dancing
No, you got to think like them. You
have to think like them, and you have to tread in their territory. We have to send in recon teams to go in. And
that's a good way of putting it.
Any of the vets out there that, combat vets know what I'm talking about, you ground pounders, Marines, soldiers, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. We need to send in recon teams with the truth to go in to the land of the morons and bring it to them, because there are people that are really brain dead. They have no idea. Look, most people, if they see this kind of stuff, a lot of them you're going to get, it's too much for them. They'd rather stick their head in the sand. But once they realize that they have no place to run, most people would step up and fight if they realize they come to that realization.
If their back is up, if their back is up against the wall and they have nothing to lose, I agree.
Exactly.
But I think in this country we still have far too much to lose, and our backs are just not up against the wall. That's why you're
seeing a cell phone that makes pancakes, to quote George Carlin. So nobody wants to rock the boat because everybody's got a cell phone that makes pancakes.
That's right.
He's right, and he was right when he said that. Yep. Everybody's, I don't know what I could do. Dude, there's a phobia out there. What would you do if you lost your cell phone? People, I don't know what I would do without my cell phone. You know what I would do? That's what I would do.
Exactly. And we are definitely still in we're still a culture of convenience. That hasn't changed. Even though the economy's taken a massive shit, it doesn't matter. We're still a culture of convenience. Everything is still at our fingertips. Well, when that's ripped away, people are going to be a little more receptive to what's going on.
The Real House bimbos, those women on TV that they try to make these girls emulate. These are supposed to be the quote unquote the Real Housewives. No, the Real Housewives are the women that are working and raising kids. Okay, even the ones that are doing it on their own. Those are housewives. Okay, not these bimbos they parade on TV. But when I used to have cable TV, I don't have that anymore. I turned that crap off. But when I used to have it, if my wife was surfing through and she happened to stop and be watching an episode or two of that crap, I would say to her, these are the exact first people that are going to be dead within the first couple of weeks of the shit hitting the fan. These are the first people that are going to be dead. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, because they literally don't know how to wipe their ass by themselves. Right. No. They won't know what to do.
That's right. And I'll tell you what, there's going to come a point in time where, people with children, they're going to have hungry children. And they're going to be coming for your stuff. And so it's going to be up to you. You're going to have to make that call, make that decision. Is it going to be them or me? And everybody knows what's going to happen when you're faced with that.
Well, that's why we need to stop it before it even gets to that, which we still have a chance of doing. But if we continue just watching Dancing with the Stars and all these other useless...
I'm forever an optimist, but I'm telling you something, bro.
We're running out of time.
It's not looking good at all.
No, we're running out of time fast, dude. We need people to start to really pull their heads out of their asses ASAP because we are running out of time. The sand is going through the hourglass at a rapid pace now. Really, we are.
Yeah, no, I know.
We are up the street without a paddle, Joe. We are really in some serious trouble, dude. Without a doubt. It is not a joke. We got about a minute left. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you before we get cut off. And
thanks for coming out tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you guys are the main reason we do this show. If you weren't here, we'd be talking to thin air.
Yeah, that's true.
So you guys are a major part of this show and every show that goes on.
Just so you guys know, because of your efforts, just spreading the word, Orion has grown immensely in the last 6 months.
The exponential growth is amazing. Yeah. All I could say is it can't be stopped. It's spreading like a virus, and that's because...
And bear with the growing pains, because, you may hear the stream cut out and all that stuff.
Yeah, just bear with it, ladies and gentlemen.
We're growing.
We're exponentially growing so fast that we're outpacing ourselves.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, Joe, thanks for hanging out. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for tuning in. I love you all, and I will see you all Sunday at 5. We're out.
Peace out.
All right.